Dinosaurs are people who do not possess the thinking skills required for sustainability in the new normal. That's probably the line that sticks out most when I reflect on my experience reading this first book from award-winning CEO, mental health first aid England instructor, and a human being that I have a lot of respect for, Mr Rishi Perera. Managing people in the new normal combines unapologetic and at times relentless logic with hard-hitting statistical facts, heartwarming lived experience, thought leadership, and common sense. In this video, I'm going to summarise my key takeaways alongside why, as a business leader that wants to reduce mental health stigma in the workplace and raise awareness of the factors that keep inequality in place, this book is a must-read. The first chapter opens up by explaining the frame of reference, which essentially is our individual filter on reality and is the reason why we could all look out of the same window and see something completely different. This is particularly important when it comes to having supportive conversations about mental health with employees, friends or colleagues, as it can be easy to apply our own frame of reference and the biases that come with it to another person's situation. It can also facilitate unhelpful trends such as cancel culture, where the offended party is automatically assumed to be the victim and the offending party is automatically assumed to be the perpetrator. So what has this got to do with managing people in the new normal? Well, if we take something like the frame of reference and apply a generational perspective, we can start to see how something as simple as when you were born could impact our understanding of mental health. The point here is that if we are going to make conversations about mental health in the workplace more accessible, we need to create a space that validates everyone's unique perspective. The trouble with managers is that they are often stuck at a crossroads within a business, between delegating tasks and delivering results set by the board, while at the same time needing to be a people person to get the most out of their employees. Despite an abundance of statistics that highlight the cost of poor mental health to our economy via absenteeism, presenteeism and lost productivity, the business case for investment in employee well-being is still not clear enough for some organisations. In this instance, Rishi uses the analogy of a CEO's family car to good effect. The CEO's car needs an MOT, tyres, servicing, insurance and fuel to be road legal and to go from A to B. At the same time, it will always be a depreciating asset. Employees, on the other hand, need the same care and attention as the car, but will appreciate year on year. And according to Deloitte, this is represented as a 5-fold return on investment for every £1 spent. Not to mention the long-term cost effectiveness of being proactive rather than reactive when it comes to mental health and well-being. Managing people in the new normal does an excellent job of highlighting the benefits and importance of mental health first aid training. Described as the front line in the new normal, mental health first aid is a 2-day workshop that upskills individuals to have supportive conversations about mental health, alongside the confidence and the resources to signpost professional help. The course is based on several key models and trains of thought, one of which is self-care, because you cannot look after others if you yourself are not okay. Or to put it another way, you cannot pour from a glass that is half empty. Whichever analogy you use, the key message here is that mental health first aid, in principle, is about being able to spot the signs of poor mental health in yourself first. An essential skill in general, but in particular if you're in a people-facing role, such as a manager. In addition, with record numbers of antidepressants being prescribed, managers need to be aware of how a person's mental health can ebb and flow between good and poor, and how this intersects about an axis of stigma. We call this the mental health continuum. The accumulative impact of underinvestment in employee well-being has been reflected in what we know as the Great Resignation, a post-pandemic phenomenon that represents a paradigm shift in our attitudes towards tick-box well-being exercises, wage theft, and dinosaur business leaders that persist on ignoring the needs of their most valuable business asset in favour of increased profit margins. Case in point being that at a time when post-pandemic people were keen to get back to work following lockdowns and redundancies, millions quit their jobs and significant numbers made plans to leave in the months that followed. Rishi presents a partial panacea to this trend by way of business leaders applying the principles of Maslow's hierarchy of needs to their people management practices, and in doing so creating a tribe or family of entrepreneurs within their organisation. The race issue is a chapter that I found as complex as it was ironic for several reasons. One of which was that in his formative years, 50% of Rishi's experience of racism came from people of colour. We also get vivid descriptions of being singled out and bullied for what was at the time considered an unusual South Asian name, which today is the name of our incumbent Prime Minister. He speaks about the impact of these experiences growing up. Everything from avoiding a beatdown from local skinheads, to being racially harassed by police, to having a brick put through the front window of their family home. Alongside his personal experience, Managing People in the New Normal presents a balanced overview of the nuances and importance of racial literacy in the workplace, combined with some practical steps we can take to make progress. In the same way that a man will never be able to fully appreciate what a woman goes through during pregnancy and labour, it can be counterproductive to expect everyone to appreciate the impact of racism. On the flip side, it's equally unhelpful to infer that purely based on somebody's colour, they know nothing of hardship, poverty or discrimination. The key message here is that to make progress in the new normal, racism on all levels should be addressed and rooted out. At the back end of this book, Rishi shares the framework that he developed and used to grow his business, take on the big boys and win the much coveted Investor in People Manager of the Year award. Departmental Localization focuses on specific quick fixes at a local level so that business leaders can free up valuable time to implement organisational change. As an example, the concerns of employees in a HR department with an average age of 45 will be completely different to the concerns of employees working in the same organisation in the sales department with an average age of 25. And this is exactly the reason why a business may want to consider using the feedback from a framework such as departmental localization to invest in more specialized wellbeing initiatives, as opposed to blanket solutions such as generic employee assistance programs that solve no specific problems and have a lower engagement as a result. Rishi mentions that there are no experts in the new normal. But in my opinion, if you are a wellbeing and inclusion leader, this book would be a great place to start. Aside from the extensive research and up-to-date statistical insights, there is a human element to this book that I found highly relatable and cannot be ignored. His personal wellbeing journey, experiences of loss, poor mental health, racism, highs and lows as a CEO, and becoming a granddad all contribute to a reading experience that is in many ways balanced, thought-provoking, and visionary. There's a link in the description if you'd like to check this book out in more detail. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and feel free to click or tap the screen just here for more wellbeing and inclusion content.